Hey everyone, how's it going? So, I promised that there would be a Laravel 11 crash course, and here it is. This is the very first video, so here we go. So, what do you need in order to be able to participate in this awesome course? Well, I'm assuming that you've got basic working knowledge of PHP. I'm assuming that you've got access to a Unix-based type of operating system, whether it's Mac OS, whether it's a Linux-based server that you've got in the cloud, a Linux computer, or honestly, I'm doing it all on WSL2, which is also perfectly fine. WSL2 is pretty much, I think, what made me stick with Windows at this point for this long, because it gives you the power of Linux at your fingertips and all the benefits of Windows. You're going to need PHP 8.2. That's the current version, I believe, of PHP right now. You're going to need MySQL 8, Composer, whatever the latest version is. We'll have to deal with any kind of, dependency hell, but hopefully there won't be any. That should be all good. You'll need a terminal with sudo access to execute certain commands, particularly if you need to install Composer or things like that. But generally speaking, I try to do as much as possible without sudo, because I'm a firm believer in less privileges is better, so therefore less administrative access the better. But there are circumstances where you do need it, and there's just no two ways around it. With regards to your IDE, you can use JetBeans, you can use PHP Storm, or whatever you're comfortable with. Heck, you can use Notepad++. That's also totally fine. I personally am going to be using VS Code, and I also have some recommendations with regards to extensions on VS Code. So if you want to follow along closely with me, which is kind of how I'm designing the series, then I recommend using VS Code. And on that vein, these are some of the extensions that I would recommend. I've got some ridiculous amount, like 70-something extensions for all sorts of different things. But these are the kind of the essential ones that you're going to want to focus on. So Tailwind, CSS IntelliSense, because Laravel loves Tailwind. Laravel Blade snippets, because Laravel, its templating engine is actually called Blade, so it kind of helps with creating snippets quickly, as well as some extra IntelliSense, which leads me into the next bullet point, which is Laravel Extra IntelliSense, which I actually just heard about recently, and oh my gosh, it kind of blew my mind. It's really awesome. It does a lot of heavy lifting for me that previously I would have to type out, and I didn't even know that it was so great. So I cannot recommend that enough. Laravel Blade Formatter, that just helps you make your Laravel Blade template files look a little bit better. PHP IntelliFence, if you're a PHP developer, then you definitely have this if you're using VS Code, and if you're not, if you don't have it, you either have a reason, or if you haven't heard of it, go download it right now. You'll see it's got so many millions of downloads, because practically everybody that uses PHP almost uses PHP IntelliFence on VS Code. So highly recommend these extensions. Please go install them before we go on to the next video. So now you might be wondering to yourself, okay, I'm sitting here watching this guy talk about stuff and slides and blah, blah, blah. Why? Okay, that's a fair question. That's a very, very fair question. So you might think that you might not know much about Laravel, and it might be an overwhelming thought to get into Laravel. So I want to help you understand a little bit about Laravel, or maybe a lot about Laravel, depending on how deep we can go, without getting overwhelmed. And that's going to be kind of my hope and goal throughout this series. One of them is to keep things simple. A colleague that I used to work with many years ago used to say KISS, right? And I'm sure other people, know this saying too, but it just stuck with me. Keep it stupid simple. And that is what I'm trying to do here. So also what I'm trying to do is help you learn about Laravel and all its amazing things that you can do, and learn fast by maximizing the amount of learning you get in a short amount of time. Because I'm trying to get these videos to be between 10 or 15 minutes. Might go before, a little bit over, might go a little bit under, but that's kind of the range that I'm aiming for. So that's the kind of time commitment per video that you'd be looking at. Some other reasons that you might actually want to watch these series is because if you're like me, or the person that he's not really a person, because he's a superhero, but like one of the entities, let's call them, that I kind of look up to is Tony Stark. And one of the things that I really like about Tony Stark is that he is always learning. He is a forever learner. He never stops innovating, never stops trying to learn new stuff, always being curious. And so if you're a curious person, then this is something, and you don't know much about Laravel, or even if you do and you want to deepen, enrich your learning, this could be something. This could be nothing. I'm not trying to say that I'm the world expert on Laravel, far from it, but that's a reason to want to watch this video series. And also, I'm hoping that we're going to build something cool. I'm planning to hopefully build a CRM out of this, building upon the building blocks in the series. Now, what is this video series actually? Well, this series is going to be Laravel specific. That means I'm not going to teach PHP, I'm not going to teach Linux, I'm making all these assumptions, and therefore it's an intermediate level course series, however you want to define it. It can be a refresher to somebody that hasn't touched Laravel in a while. If you haven't touched Laravel since version 5, 6, 7, and you just got thrown into a project, or if you got thrown into a project and you've never heard of Laravel, like I was saying, it could be also, a crash course introduction to the framework. It's by no means supposed to be a, master course. That's not what it is. If you want a master course, there's plenty of awesome YouTube videos out there, and there's also the docs. The docs for Laravel are amazing. It's another reason why I love Laravel. It's going to be free on YouTube. I mean, wow, it's free? Yeah, YouTube, right? It's free. And it's also going to be a living work in progress. I'm going to consistently and hopefully continuously upload videos on this series, and I don't plan as of right now for it to ever end. I plan to simply continue evolving it. Like I said, I want to ultimately get to building a CRM, and then building on top of that features and integrations and AI and all sorts of cool stuff. I've got mad ideas in my head. So that's kind of what this video series is kind of about. So what are you going to walk away with if you watch this video series? I'm hoping you're going to walk away with some working knowledge of Laravel. You're going to walk away with a nice little CRM app, like I was saying. You might get some insights into Laravel best practices, because I am trying to take as much as I can straight from the docs or from other popular, well-known Laravelites, if that's an expression. I think it is. So I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. I'm simply trying to expose the wheel, if you will. And I'm hoping that when you finish, or when you're watching the series, it might inspire you to go out and start building and start tinkering. I just watched the other day Iron Man 3 with my daughter, and it was just so cool seeing like all these different, like when Tony Stark says, "Jarvis, initiate the birthday party protocol," or whatever he said it was, and all of a sudden like 50,000 suits come out of the air to save him and Pepper Potts, and like it's just go out and just build stuff, man. Just build, right? And maybe might learn a couple of neat tricks here. Might pick up an extension here, or a little lorem ipsum trick there kind of thing. So that's what I'm hoping that you would walk away from this series. So what am I thinking about right now in terms of coverage and in terms of my very ambitious syllabus? Well, this video is the first one, obviously, here, the intro. But I'm also thinking, that there's been a lot of changes, especially in Laravel 11, to how the structure of the application directory is. Hopefully get into Breeze Starter Kit, and I'm still kind of debating whether to use Breeze or Jetstream. They're both awesome. Breeze is just a little bit simpler and easier to get started. Livewire, I recently came across, and I was totally blown away. It's basically a backend framework for writing frontend. And when I saw the first couple casts on that, I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like, the fact what they can do with it, like it does work with Alpine JS under the hood, but you don't have to write any JavaScript. You can be a total backend developer and still be fine. But anyways, there's going to be hopefully videos on that. There's just lots of stuff here. I'm not going to read everything here on the screen, but this is kind of like roughly like almost a brain dump of my head of what I'm thinking about all the different videos to cover. So, what is the structure or style for the course? Well, it's going to be a hands-on, follow-along type thing. So, I'm going to be doing the code and helping provide that direction, that leadership of the code. And I'm going to encourage you to pause videos very often. And I'm going to say, why don't you pause here and take a second to, make sure it works or test it out or whatever the thing may be. Because there was a very famous person once who said that, writing is like as if you've read something 4 times. And while I could obviously open source repos and provide the code for free, and I don't have any issue with that, I want to inspire people to learn. I want to inspire people to build. And the best way to do that is to learn. And the best way to learn, and this is, again, only my opinion, I'm not stating any facts here, but is to write. So when you see the screen, you're going to read the code, obviously, on the video, and then you're going to type it. And when you type it, that's the second time, let's say, that you read it. And then once you've typed it, you see it on the screen. That's going to be the third time, and then you're just going to keep reading more and more. So it's going to be a much better way, I think, to have it set in your head. Like when I watch videos, that's how I do it, and so that's why I'm structuring the videos this way, because it's just I guess maybe it's just the way my personal brain is wired. But that's kind of the structure. And like I mentioned earlier, I think between 10 or 15-minute videos is the goal, and each video building on the previous video in order to get to that CRM that I was talking about. And I'm going to try, I can't promise this, but I'm going to try to keep each video containing a single topic and not stretch multiple videos and, one top, like, controllers over multiple videos or middleware, whatever it is, or, having them all over the place. But, sometimes these things are inevitable because you just end up having to do more things. So, but I will do my best. Why did I pick Laravel? There are so many languages other than PHP, and even in PHP, there are so many frameworks. So why did I pick it? Well, firstly, I have a little bit of experience working on projects in Laravel. Yes, I will admit that. But also, Laravel is easier, I think, than a lot of other frameworks, and it's blazing fast, especially when you look at some of the packages and extensions that are written for Laravel. It can be blazing fast. And Taylor Orwell and the folks that are behind Laravel, I think they're friggin' geniuses. They write good code, and when you use their classes, when you use the Eloquent ORM and all that stuff, let's take Eloquent ORM as an example, right? They write such efficient SQL queries that for me to go and write my own SQL queries, I know that they're not going to be efficient. Definitely not as efficient as they would if, somebody who that's all they focused on did, I think I wrote somewhere, so I'm losing my mind. 78,000 GitHub stars. Like, how crazy is that? How many people are there that are working on this project? And they are obviously smarter than me. 78,000 people that have started. I don't remember all the stats off the top of my head, but I think 20-something thousand forks, and God knows how much is being done, in private repos, etc. So there's just so much goodness in Laravel that it just made so much sense. Now, why am I doing Laravel 11 other than the fact that it's the current latest version? Well, they have some, like I said, I alluded to earlier, they've simplified the application structure a lot. That was something that got me confused a lot, was the application structure. It was a bit convoluted, and they seem to have recognized that, and they've done a lot of work and under the hood reworking to simplify that. So that was one big reason why I wanted to do Laravel 11. Laravel Reverb, that is basically a package, a extension kind of Laravel that it basically gives you access to WebSockets, and that was released with Laravel 11, and that's something that I also want to take advantage of. There's been artisan enhancements that have made the scaffolding on this in the framework just so much easier, and it's with PHP 8.2, which is the current version, which also there's a lot of amazing things that have been released over the years. I mean, I personally, I have in my drawer over here a certificate for PHP Zen course, whatever, of I think it was 5.2 or 5.3, and boy, has PHP evolved over the years in a good way, in a very good way. So you might be wondering, who the heck is this guy, this handsome face here, right, in front of you? Well, I am a solutions architect. I'm also a developer advocate. I've done sales engineering, solutions engineering, and I now see that my face is covering some of the social stuff here, so I'll move it over there. And I got a YouTube channel. I've got Twitter. I've also got LinkedIn and all that good stuff. I'm not going to put it up here though yet. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, then you already know where my LinkedIn is. But if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to look me up. And yeah, and so what's next? Well, next is going to be the video number 2, which is going to be hopefully no PowerPoint presentations like this one, and going to be already deep into the code, getting started. And so if you aren't watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on LinkedIn, then I will put a comment below, a link to my YouTube channel, because that's where I'm going to be, I think where I'm going to be putting all my videos. I haven't really kind of worked all that out yet in my head. I have been thinking of posting to both, but that's just going to be, I think, make things complicated. I don't know. If you have any thoughts or suggestions, I am totally open, and I would love to hear your feedback. If you think I should stick only to YouTube or only to LinkedIn or post to both, I'm undecided as of now. So right now I'm releasing this video to both platforms. But please, if you have any thoughts, let me know. And with that, I am going to skedaddle, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.